Hello my dears. So in my last video I discussed the Online Safety Act and how it has completely changed how Brits are able to interact or use the internet. Within that video I said that I don't think that our current government understand the internet anywhere near as well as they think they do, which will make it harder for them to control it as much as they would like to. And I also said that because younger generations are more tech savvy, they will run rings around them. And well, so far that appears to be the case, as I have recently discovered all the very interesting ways that people are managing to bypass this new ID verification system. One method that some people have found successful is using video game characters for the AI face verification. A lot of people in the UK realised that they could use Norman Reedus' character in the video game Death Stranding 2 to trick AI. Due to the realism of the character's design in the game, AI was unable to tell if it was a computer-generated visual or an actual person. And because people were able to manipulate and alter the facial expressions of the character, it allowed them to end up bypassing the AI verification system.
Start face scan. Oh, face scan didn't work. Come closer to the camera. We're going closer. Open your mouth. So we're gonna close your mouth. Stay still. It just did it. See that? Age group, adult.
People have also found that they are able to do this with other video games, like Garry's Mod, for example, and it will definitely be interesting to see if any other games also work this way. Other ways people are trying to bypass this is with spoof driving licenses. In an act to protest against this new bill, a coder has created a website that spoofs politicians' driving licenses. How it works is you basically enter your postcode and it finds your local MP, and the site will AI generate a driving license with the MP's face on it. Many people are using Keir Starmer's face for their IDs, which is interesting because I have heard that apparently the government are monitoring the age verification system as well as VPNs to see how they're being used. So I do imagine that they're probably able to see all of this. And so I do wonder if at some point they're going to see that a lot of people have been using spoof driving licenses with Keir Starmer's face on them to access copious amounts of corn. It's definitely going to look like he has a serious problem. What a time to be alive, eh? People used to have fake IDs to enter clubs. Now people are getting fake AI generated IDs to get full access to the internet. Technology sure has changed the world we live in. I have also read that the creator of this fake MP driving license site didn't actually create them to help people bypass the verification checks, and he had actually deliberately taken steps to try and avoid legal trouble by making it obvious that these are spoof licenses because he wanted people to know that they are fake and satirical. For example, they all use the exact same address. Also, all the fake IDs that are generated have the words "this is satire" in the background. Paul Ducklin, who wrote about this for an article in Soul Cyber, speculates that the real intention behind why the coder created this spoof license site could have been to remind people who to write to in order to challenge or complain about this new law. Since in order to generate the fake ID, you have to enter your postcode, and then the site informs you of who your local MP is. And if that was his intention, then I think it's gone over a lot of people's heads because all I see is people having fun with it and just taking the piss, to be honest. I don't see anyone actually using this as like, oh, I should write to my local MP. All I see is people being like, ha ha ha, I'm going to use Keir Starmer's face to access Cornhub. I'm not entirely sure what AI software they're using to verify people's selfies, but they're clearly not sending their best because people have also managed to get around it using face masks.
They say you can't trick the new UK face verification system, but what if you wear a latex zombie mask?
So I'm just going to open up Reddit and type in something not safe for work and confirm the age, verify. Let's see if this works. You might be able to tell my voice is already behind the mask. Estimate selfie. Let's get started. Allow. Send yourself on screen. Okay. Good. Here we go.
With the mask ill-fitting to say the least, I followed the instructions on screen, turning my head to the left, although with my vision obstructed, I couldn't see the take a photo button. So when I did actually take a photo, I was looking straight forward. I take one looking right, then it takes 3 to 4 working days to verify,
Taking his sweet ass time.
and it failed. But I'm obviously gonna try again. Bloody balls are bluer than a Smurf in a freezer at this point. This time I'm actually looking left when I take the photo,
Looks like you're right. Take photo.
then it's just a waiting game.
Fuck off. Fuck off as that worked. Congratulations, you're done.
So, to be honest with you, I would not be surprised in the least if, despite all the extra steps that this coder has tried to put in place to make it obvious that these driving licenses are satirical or fake or spoofs, whatever, I wouldn't be surprised if they are still working and still allowing people to bypass the age verification checks, because the AI at the moment for these checks just doesn't seem to be that great if people are able to bypass it in all of these ways. It can't even tell between a real person and a fake person, so what are the odds that it can tell between a real license versus a fake license? But hopefully these extra steps that he's taken will be able to cover him and help him avoid any serious legal trouble. Also, in recent news, 4chan has now entered the chat when it comes to all of the American companies who are beefing our government over this Online Safety Act. Ofcom, who are our regulators and are responsible for enforcing this act, issued 4chan a 20 grand fine for failing to comply with the rules of the Online Safety Act. Ofcom claims that 4chan failed to respond to an information request, they did not complete or maintain a proper content risk assessment, and they also allegedly breached safety duties by not taking adequate steps to prevent or remove illegal content. And so because of this, they wanted to impose a 20 grand fine. And 4chan responded stating, 4chan is a United States company incorporated in Delaware, with no establishment, assets, or operations in the United Kingdom. Any attempt to impose or enforce a penalty against 4chan will be resisted in US federal court. American businesses do not surrender their First Amendment rights because a foreign bureaucrat sends them an email. Under settled principles of US law, American courts will not enforce foreign penal fines or censorship codes. United States federal authorities have been briefed on this matter. The Prime Minister Keir Starmer was reportedly warned by the White House to cease targeting Americans with UK censorship codes. Despite these warnings, Ofcom continues its illegal campaign of harassment against American technology firms. A political solution to this matter is urgently required, and that solution must come from the highest levels of the American government. So in essence, 4chan basically said, screw you, this is America, and good for them. We love to see it. I've never actually been on 4chan, but I have heard of it. So for those of you who maybe are also not super familiar with 4chan, from my understanding, it's an image board where everyone who posts on it is anonymous. You don't even need an account to actually post, and apparently this is why things get pretty wild over there, because it's pretty much like the Wild West of social media. It's apparently the birthplace of many of the most popular memes that we see on social media or all over the internet, and it is also responsible for many viral pranks, hoaxes, and coordinated trolling campaigns. I saw this clip from Joe Rogan's podcast.
What the 4chan guys did was fucking amazing. This is what they did. Shia LaBeouf put up a flag that said he will not divide us, and then had a live stream where you could go and look at the flag as it's waving in the breeze. They found the fucking flag. And the way they found it was genius. And what they did was they found out where it is by stars. They looked at the fucking stars and they figured out where the area is. They went around. They had one of their members go around with a car and beep the horn so they could hear the horn on the camera. They went to the fucking flag, took it down, put a Make America Great Again hat on and a Pepe the Frog thing up there, and the guy walks up to the camera and goes, fuck Shia LaBeouf. These guys are animals. Yeah.
And so that's who Keir Starmer has essentially decided he wants to go head to head with. And from my understanding with the whole Shia LaBeouf thing, 4chan didn't even do that because they particularly feel passionately about Trump or they're super MAGA supporters or anything. They just did it for fun. They just wanted to disrupt LaBeouf's project. That's the only reason why they did it. And because the project was supposed to be anti-Trump, that's the reason why they decided to put the MAGA hat on there. And then they put the Pepe flag on there just to let them know, basically, we did it, because they're quite well known for that meme from my understanding. So yeah, so they just wanted to be disruptive. They just do this stuff for the bants. And it's a level of dedication to trolling that I don't think I've ever seen on any other side of the internet. So it is definitely going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. It will be interesting to see if 4chan users decide to retaliate, and if they do decide to retaliate, how they're going to retaliate. I honestly have no idea, but I'm intrigued. It will definitely be interesting to see how all of this plays out, because this Online Safety Act has a lot of enemies. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see even more people inventing new ways to bypass this act as an act of protest. And as technology becomes even more sophisticated with AI and deepfakes, people will definitely get more and more inventive with how they go about things. So it will definitely become harder for the government to stay on top of this, but they definitely intend to try. So I guess we'll see how it all works out in the end. Hopefully it doesn't get to the point where people experience actual legal consequences for this, because I do think it's crazy to legally compel someone to surrender private and confidential information just for them to listen to a song on Spotify or to access Reddit. The idea that someone could potentially end up being given a prison sentence or being arrested for breaking this law, to me, would be completely crazy, but not beyond the realm of possibility, considering this is the UK. If you can end up in prison for tweets, then I can't see why you can't end up in prison for something like this at some point in the future. There has also been talks online about how, you know, if it's so easy to bypass these checks with a VPN or with these other methods that people are using, then does it really matter if this law is in place? Yes, it absolutely does. Because even though you can bypass the checks with a VPN or with these other methods that people have been using, like video games, etc., it's still the fact that this law even exists that makes it a problem. Because as I said in my last video, it makes us very vulnerable to tyranny, because it makes us very vulnerable to someone coming along and exploiting it. And as I said, even though you can bypass some of these checks with a VPN, you're not supposed to. So we are still yet to see if they will eventually start issuing penalties for people who do use VPNs in this way. And if the government did decide to ban VPNs, it would make it practically impossible to avoid giving up your data. And the whole idea of compelling people to give up their private data in order to monitor them and watch how they move on the internet, I don't know, it just kind of feels like they are trying to groom us into accepting a social credit system. And for those reasons, losing liberties should never be taken lightly, even if it is being done in the name of keeping your children safe. And I do think we should keep an eye on it, because things can go south really quickly. Right now it's all fun and games because it's early days, but who knows how this could look in years to come. Also, based on the comments I read on my last video, it seems as though this stuff is creeping across different countries. I've seen people from Canada say this kind of stuff is being pushed. I've seen people in Australia saying this kind of stuff is being pushed. And I've also seen people in America also saying that they found themselves having to go through some of this age verification stuff. So it could potentially get to a point where even if you have a VPN, it's not really going to mean anything or matter, because if more and more countries are going by the same laws and going by the same rules, what country are you going to eventually be able to pick to bypass it? If they're all asking for age verifications and all asking for you to submit private information about yourself in order to access some of these websites or to access news topics or whatever, it's going to become even harder to avoid this stuff. So I do think sometimes it is easy to just look at what's going on in the UK and dismiss it and be like, oh, that's a UK thing, but it could be coming to you too soon. So yeah, in my opinion, this law is very much a big problem. And so I'm happy to see that people aren't passively just accepting it. I respect the spirit of protest. And so it's nice to see that people are trying to push back on it and trying to make the point that they're not going to just take this. So yeah, so those are my opinions on that. Let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed this video, you may as well like and subscribe. Thank you for giving me your time today, and I shall see you in my next one.